let's turn our attention to this. So some new HEX data as well. Just as we've talked about before, we've mentioned in the last couple of weeks with prices going up, HEX stakers are increasing as well, big time. People get back into like, oh, okay, this stuff isn't dead. Maybe I will stake it again. And we're seeing everything from 5,555 stakes, 15 years down to, whatever. I mean, whole ladders and stuff like that. We're seeing huge players come in and do, kind of even Godwell did this recently, but tapering stakes basically out into late 2025, early 2025, mid 2025, maybe even early 2026, just trying to take advantage of like, okay, when this stake, like why not stake out for a year or so, which with the amount of HEX these guys have, that's shitloads of T shares. I just saw one that was like 450 T shares earlier today that somebody did. So, I mean, people are getting crazy yield even for a year-long stake right now because they're whales also. So you have people out here doing that. Why not take advantage of it? And you can kind of see them tipping their hand on what they think is going to happen in this market because they're tapering out those stakes like, when they think the top of the bull market will be. So Ben Sierra, who has a lot of great HEX data, put out some stuff in terms of HEX staking upticks. I'll have you kind of go over it if you would like, Ewok. And I know you had more of a chance to look at this than me and tell me what you find to be intriguing about this, but definitely good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So Ben says we're back, and not just in terms of price. Staking is coming in stronger for HEX than in previous months. It says let's dive into the HEX monthly report, and then it goes into staking. It says over 6,000 new HEX stakes were created in September, returning to the March levels earlier this year. Confidence in EHEX staking has significantly grown, with over 1,000 stakes surpassing March's numbers and approaching the February counts. It says impressive 12 billion HEX was staked, of which 8 billion was PHEX. The other 4, obviously, EHEX, showing growth surpassing the lower figures seen during the summer. There's a lot of information. We'll post his site that you can get this stuff from too. But he made it nice and easy for us in this post. It says the average staking length remains strong at 1,200 days, which is 3.3 years for new stakes that were made just in September. Average locked up stake. Now, I do believe the average we're at is still 6 or 7 years, but the ones that were made in September were still 3.3 years on average. So I find that's one of the things that I found interesting. So I'll stop there. Knowing that the 4-year cycle is the 4-year cycle and that this bull market usually only lasts a year, this really surprised me to see 3.3-year average of the new stakes that were made in September. So either people are going out very long, and then, because there were 6,000 stakes, remember that, and average at 3.3 years, you have to think some of those played the 1 year maybe to get this time next year to try and capture, the highs. But that just goes to say something for how many longer ones go. And I think that has something to do with Crispy, when we had Crispy on not too long ago, and we were talking about the amount of stakes, if you put them out into 2039 at this point, how few it actually takes to become a whale or a shark or whatever it is. So I think that's kind of playing both sides of that and coming into play. But 3.3 years is interesting to me. The average locked up HEX is only slightly decreasing as prices rise and more people stake. That makes total sense. Stay tuned for more coming these days. So his site is, we're going to share this here. Let me see that. Yeah, so it's called hexbase.de. There's a lot of good stuff on here. You can change it from the quarter. You can do monthly. There's staking, penalties, adoption, ratios. So check this out. Ben's got a lot of good information here, as well as Crispy too. So a lot of this stuff, though, like I said, you're seeing some of these levels increase. You can kind of see this play out as this uptrend continues, and we get back to some of these levels that were, it wasn't even March. yet because the PHEX, the EHEX is actually up in August, which is, I find that interesting too. Oh, this
Mhm.
is late end staking. Sorry. So these are late end stakes. So there were 1,277 late end stakes in August, which there's people out there not paying attention. Those penalties get thrown back to the ones that fulfill their side of the stakers that do complete them. So don't forget about that as well.
Yeah.
Emergency end stakes are it was super high in March when we had that price hike. I think a lot of people decided they were going to get out, and now it's kind of trending way back down. It's very low number of emergency end stakes. What else did I see on here that was new addresses? Yeah, so this is curving as the new addresses are trending back up. You've got a little dip here, and hopefully this continues as well. So green prices, the green candles, the good prices will do that. I find it interesting. It seems somewhat, I don't want to say counterproductive, but when price is going down is really when you want your coins to be locked up. You want to earn while
Mhm.
it's coming down. And as it's going back up, I feel like you would want to be more liquid to be able to take advantage of some of these price. Obviously, you're not going to get out fully if you're earning yield like that. But I just find sometimes it's a little backwards to me in my mind, and I don't know. What do you think about that?
What? Just the fact that, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. You're saying the fact that like staking is upticking because the price is going up, and it should
Yeah,
be the other way around. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, but it's markets. It's the same thing as everything. You know what I mean?
true,
Like,
true.
oh, the price is going up. I'm going to buy some. Oh, the price is going up. That means this thing must be legitimate. I'm going to stake it out. You know what I mean? And it is weird, but it's the same stuff that happened in 2021, 2020, 2021. Is people are like, oh, okay, I'm gonna buy Hex at 40 cents and I'm gonna stake it out for 10 years. And now all those people are like, God damn, and not all of them, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
it depends on how hasty you were with your decision. I mean, if you're somebody who did kind of like properly do ladders and stuff like that and didn't just punt it all out. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that did like just buy a whole bunch and then punt it out for a really long time and didn't do anything shorter, which I can't help you there. I mean, I think that was just a bad decision kind of from the get go if you did that. But you are a perfect example, Ewok, because I mean, yes, you were in the very early days of Hex and stuff like that. So I mean, some of these new people that are new more so because of Pulse Chain and stuff like that, and are also aware of Hex and everything, will envy you or just be like, yeah, but you got to get, as if you got lucky or whatever. But I understand it. They didn't get a chance to get into that at the beginning, or they weren't aware of it then for whatever reason. And it's not their fault. But you were telling me just the other day, like just how much with this recent pump, like, we're not going to say numbers or anything, but you just looking at the percentage of your portfolio increase because you've had all these stakes earning all this heaps and heaps of hex when prices have been shit and totally dead. So,
Yep.
mine, like you took it a guess at where I was and overestimated because you kind of were probably thinking of like where you were at with, more hex stakes and stuff like that. And it just shows you, and I've seen it too. I mean, I don't have the hex bags you do, but I mean, I've seen it too where when you've been accumulating all of it all this time and the price starts to go up, you're like, oh, okay, that's why I'm sitting here with these stakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, if you do that through a whole cycle and you see another cycle go by and it's like, well, damn it, I couldn't take advantage of that and I can't get it out yet or whatever. I do totally get that. But there is something to be said, whether you even want to look at it as just like a small part of your portfolio. If you're not into the staking thing and stuff like that, that's fine. I understand it. But even if you have a portion of your portfolio dedicated to a ladder, and you've got your Pulse bags, your Pulse X bags, maybe some liquid hex, and then like some punted out and stakes or something. I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
But I think to not want to be allocated to any of that whatsoever is probably a mistake. Enough so that I would want to be part of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and like I said, I always say um, the latter is the most important part, right? We go back to Richard and his personal desire to make this the best performing asset ever. Um, and I really think he will die trying to make that
I hope he
happen.
doesn't die, but
If
yeah,
it
we'll
doesn't,
see.
well, you know what I mean. Figure of speech there. I hope he doesn't too. However, he's going to do everything in his power to make this thing go. I really think that, you know, being the creator of it and wanting that and wanting to help so many people, having a ladder is one of the most important things you can do to put some of this out. Yes, there are going to be times where you can't take advantage of it, but your future self may thank you so much for not being able to get rid of it. You know, we see it in Bitcoin all the time where these wallets resurface after how many years?
Mm,
Thankfully, because had they had control of it or known about it or remembered that they even had it, they probably would have sold a long time ago. And you find a wallet with 50 or 100 Bitcoin in it, um, 15 years later, 10 years later, and you're thanking your lucky stars that you didn't cash out, right? So, you know, I that's one of the beauties of the hex, the staking contract, is that I really hate to see people say, well, we were right about this or we were right about that, because you don't know. You really
mm.
don't know what's going to happen down the road to say that you were right about this or that, or one hex against the other hex or anything like that. So yeah, a staking ladder is super important, even if you can't. So, you know, back to what I said is I feel like they're doing it backwards. Maybe not, because, you know, when you do earn a percentage and you're earning more of it at the same time, it does get quite attractive. So I can see why it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just that, if you've had the experience with some of those stakes, like we were just saying, and have seen, when the price goes up, all the interest that you've been earning, it is absolutely crazy.